President Trump says he is working to end the war in Ukraine, as we just talked about. So moments ago, the president, let's get really granular. He posted this on social media. He says he talked to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He says they've agreed to work together to start negotiations immediately and will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine. So according to Aaron's reporting and talking about what Caroline Levitt just said, that call has now happened. So this post on Truth Social is a little bit dated. That call apparently has happened with President Zelensky of Ukraine. But let's all place this in time. This all comes as the Trump administration is really touting the return of a Russian detainee. We're talking about Mark Fogel. The former prisoner landed in the United States late last night. This was what the White House was able to show us with reporters right there, able to show the fruits of that release. Mr. Trump's administration negotiated that release with Russia. We don't really know a lot about the person who is Russian who was released from U.S. detention. We're trying to dig into that. Professor of International Affairs at Georgetown University, Charles Kupchan, joins us live on the stream. Charles, we're learning 3 detainees, including an American, have also been released from Belarus, but so far there's really no specification about what Belarus got in return. What do you know about that?
Well, there's a lot of different countries in play here. We've seen detainees come out of Venezuela. Israeli hostages are going home. An American returned from Russia. Now we're hearing about 3 getting released from Belarus, including 1 U.S. citizen. I think there are a couple of different things going on here. One is that people want to get on Trump's good side. They want to get off to a good start with him, have a good relationship. And the other is that Trump, unlike President Biden, is ready to talk to bad guys, right? He just got off the phone, hour-and-a-half long conversation with Vladimir Putin. The president of Belarus, Mr. Lukashenko, the U.S. really had no contact with. Now, clearly, there is a conversation taking place. So this is both about a readiness to roll up the sleeves and try to deal with tough guys like Putin. And it is also, I think, an initial effort to curry favor with the Trump White House.
Well, let's also talk about this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the U.S. will not guarantee Ukraine's security after the war. That's a huge headline, even going so far as to say that they should not have NATO membership. So what's the argument against Ukraine joining NATO? Because in the last several months, I've stood right here on this set. We've seen the prior administration look like that's where the train was headed. Now the change.
You know, I think what's going on here is just talking some truth. And I do think it's important to tell the Ukrainians where they stand in 2 respects. And Hegseth did clarify the situation today. Number one, the Ukrainians are not going to win the war and take back those parts of Ukraine occupied by Russia. I think most people understand that. And 2, even though NATO has said the door is open, we welcome one day Ukraine, I think for now, everybody knows it's not going to happen because you need a consensus inside NATO. The U.S. isn't on board. Germany's not on board. And I think that, you know, it's probably not helpful to mislead Ukrainians to say, hey, but folks, you're about to get into NATO. Furthermore, the Russians don't want Ukraine in NATO, in part because they don't want the world's greatest military alliance on the other side of their border. So I think what we're seeing here is simply the Trump people saying things that everybody knew, but were not willing to say in polite company.
Charles, it's always great to talk to you. I hope to get to talk to you and have more conversations breaking apart these issues here on CBS News 24/7. Tell the students there at Georgetown hello from all of us.
Will do.